Hi, Rachel Mead here, President and founder of EnhancePrep. Thanks for joining me today while we take a look at an SAT writing and language question. This question in particular is focused on verbs. And you might look at it and go, but how do you know it's focused on verbs? Because all it's doing is asking us to conform to the conventions of standard English. Well, by taking a quick look at my answer choices, I can see that these are all verbs, which tells me that's what I need to come back and focus in on or what I'm paying attention to in order to determine my correct answer. Now, when we're working on verbs, remember that we need to work on tense, and tense is all about when things took place. Did they happen previously? Are they happening right now? Is it the potential of happening in the future? We also need to look at agreement, which is taking a look at our singular versus our plural. We have to make sure it matches with other verbs in the sentence. We also have to make sure it matches with our subject in the sentence. Now, question happens to be a great example of what the test writers are doing to really throw us off. One, it's a really long sentence. It's got stuff in here that we're probably not very familiar with, and our job is to come in and decipher our clues. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have happening. Again, anytime I'm working on conventions of standard English, I need to make sure I'm reading period to period. Well, in this case, this whole entire text is one single sentence. So unfortunately, I'm going to need to read the whole thing to make sure I'm not falling for any traps. Anthropologist researching llama iconography. Don't need to know what it is. We don't care. And then we see comma, and it's giving me a description about it. So this right here, the several miniature figurines of llamas found throughout the former Incan Empire of Peru. So because that's in commas, I'm identifying it as unnecessary information. All it is describing this llama iconography for me. So I'm going to get rid of this because it's just there to distract me. So now I can see, and this is another clue, if I was talking about anthropologists that were researching, I've got another verb coming into play here. They were not surprised. So now I have my subject and my verb agreement for the first portion of it. That's another clue how I know this phrase in between the commas is unnecessary. So let's see what they were not surprised about. To discover that the patterns carved on each figurine. Ooh, what are the test writers doing right here for us again? They're putting another phrase inside our commas, and we can see that coming in right here to right here. What are they doing with this phrase? Similar to the patterns in the Incan architectural design, all they're doing is giving me more description about these patterns carved on each figurine. Now I hit my blank, and this is where my verb is going to need to go. Something still popular among Peruvians. Okay, now we need to analyze carefully what the anthropologists were not surprised to discover. They were not surprised to discover that the patterns. So this word right here is technically what they were not surprised to discover. This becomes my subject that I need to come through and match my verb with. Because carved in each figurine is explanation or description of my patterns. So patterns, I need to recognize that this is coming in as plural, and I need to look at how that can align with my answer choices. Well, is singular, are is plural, was is singular, has been is also singular. Now, when in doubt, remember that we can test our pronouns using, or sorry, test our verbs using simple pronouns of he versus they. Would I say he is or they is? He is, so it's singular. He are or they are? They are, so it's plural. He was, not they was, and he has been, not they has been. Another big thing to know when you see an outlier, and I call this an outlier because it is the only verb coming in that is plural compared to the other three being singular. Almost every single time that outlier, when you only have one of them, is going to be your correct answer. So I can come back and I can pay attention here. The anthropologists were not surprised to discover that the patterns agreements are still popular among Peruvians. Now, if we got distracted here and we worked on marking up or matching up, I should say, to each figurine rather than the pattern, we would have a much harder time trying to determine which singular tense of our verb we wanted to put in place here. So again, look and see if you have the outlier. Look for descriptions versus your actual subject and make sure you're paying attention on that agreement. Otherwise, you're going to fall for a trap and let the test writers steal this point back from you. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you soon.